Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl here, Glowbysha. If you haven't already, make sure you like, comment and subscribe. So I filmed this look for you guys. It's kind of like a soft glam look. It's matte eyes, matte face. Obviously I love a little bit of highlight. Obviously soft glam is all matte. But obviously I did have to add a little bit of highlight, just a tiny bit. But if you guys want to see how I created this look, keep on watching. I'm just going to start and apply some moisturizer onto my face. This will just kind of like prep my face for like my foundation and concealer and stuff. So you just want to apply that all over your face. The brand that I'm using, I never remember the name, but it is a French brand. I'm probably going to put the link down below. Go ahead and prime your face. I'm going to prime using the Farsali Skin Blur Primer, and I'm just going to apply that on the areas where I get really oily. This will just ensure like when I apply my foundation and my concealer that it lasts long during the day. I'm going to go ahead and apply some powder. So the translucent powder I'm using is from Fenty and it's in the shade Cashew, and I like to just kind of like set the primer and moisturizer in place so that obviously I achieve that matte finish. Obviously we're going for that soft glam look, so I wanted a matte finish. I'm just using the Fenty foundation in the shade 420, and then I went ahead and mixed it with the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop foundation as well. I don't know the shade, but obviously I'll put the details down in the description box. But that combo is literally so elite. Like I loved this base so much. So yeah, like I'm just going ahead and applying that with a foundation brush. I went ahead and used a new concealer that I bought recently. It's the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer, and I'm just applying that on the areas where I just want to highlight. And wow, this concealer, the formula is so creamy. Like, you guys know I love my Too Faced concealer. Like, that is my holy grail. But honey, this is definitely battling with the Too Faced concealer because several points were actually made. What I like to do as well is just allow that concealer to kind of dry down. So I'm just using a fan to help it just dry down, and then I'm just using the Morphe Mist Spray just so that it allows the concealer to blend up more easily when I use the sponge. So I totally forgot to highlight my nose. So I did use the Nars concealer in the shade Caramel to highlight my nose. And I did want to use that same concealer to brighten. So I just brightened under my eye. So I just applied a little bit of concealer just to brighten that area. So to blend out the concealer, I'm just going ahead and using a concealer brush. So the brush I'm using is from Real Techniques, and you can see I'm just brightening on the areas where I do want to brighten, like not kind of going all over under my eye, if that makes sense. And you can see it just blends up more evenly with a brush in comparison to a sponge. And then I'm just lightly just tapping the sponge to just blend out my concealer. Time to bring back some warmth to your face. So you want to contour. So I'm just going to use the black Opal foundation stick. The shade I'm using is Suede Mocha, and I'm just applying it on my cheeks and then on the bridge of my nose. So I'm going to go ahead and blend it all in using like a fluffy brush. And also to blend in the contour on my nose bridge, I'm just going to use like a small blending brush just so that obviously I have more control rather than using a sponge. So I'm just going to go ahead and set my face. So you can see here I'm just using the Fenty Pro Filter Powder in the shade Cashew. I'm just applying that with a tapered brush, just lightly on the areas where I would have applied my concealer. So I'm just going to bake my face using the Huda Beauty baking powder in the shade Blondie. So you can see here I'm just applying the powder on the back of my hand, and then I'm just using the sponge to just apply the powder on the areas where I would have applied my highlight concealer. The reason why I like to just put the powder on the back of my hand, that just kind of gets rid of, like, you know, the powder streaks that you get on your face. That kind of gets rid of it. But yeah, it's just a good trick that I like to do. Also, you can see the way that, like, I'm just applying that baking powder. It's just in a way that I'm just like doing a reverse contour, and I'm just going to do that on the bridge of my nose, and also I'm going to apply that on my cheeks. This will just give me more of a crisp contour look, if that makes sense. Go ahead and bronze your face. Obviously you can use any bronzer that you have, but the one I'm using is the Fenty bronzer in the shade Coco Naughty, and you can see I'm just applying that with an angled brush. So once you've actually bronzed up your face, you want to go ahead and use a blending brush. The one I'm using is from Sigma, and it's really, really old, as you can see. But yeah, like, I'm just applying that on the bridge of my nose quite lightly. And then I'm just cleaning that up using a baking powder, the one that we used earlier. So I purchased the new Revolution bronzer, and I got it in the shade Dark. And when I tell you, as I was applying it, I was so shook with the pigment. Like, wow. I was even trying to be careful, but you can see here, like, I was totally shook. But literally a little goes a long way with this bronzer, and it's so affordable as well. I think I paid about like £8 or £10. But yeah, I'm also applying that on the top of my nose bridge as well. Ahead, I'm just going to conceal my eyelids. I'm using the same concealer that I used earlier, the Urban Decay one, and I'm just going to apply that on my eyelids and just blend that out using a brush. So on top of that concealer, I went ahead and used the Louise eyeshadow base. The reason why is because I do want the eyeshadows to be more pigmented and just show up a bit more. So applying this eyeshadow base will help that. And I don't like applying it on its own, which is why I did use the concealer that is more closer to my skin tone. And then applying this on top will just give me that nice canvas. I like to use my bronzer as a transition shade. So the bronzer I'm using is the Fenty bronzer in Coco Naughty. And I'm just using a fluffy brush. This is, I believe it's from BH Cosmetics. And I'm just going to build that up on my crease. I'm just going to use a darker brown on my outer crease. This shade is from the Jackie palette, from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I'm just going to apply that on the outer crease and just bringing that up a little bit as well using a blending brush. Tying those two shades together, I went ahead and used a burnt orange eyeshadow, and I just applied it in between the browns that we used earlier. Ahead and use that same P. Louise eyeshadow base, and I just apply that on my eyelid, and it's not necessarily a cut crease, but it will just kind of like neaten that area so when I apply my eyeshadow. Would never believe what happened. So when I was doing my eyeshadow and my eyeliner, my camera wasn't on and it wasn't recording, so I wasn't able to show you guys. But basically I did use like a nude white eyeshadow to kind of like apply that on my eyelid, and then I just lined my eyes with a brown eyeliner from Kiko, and I just smudged it using a brown eyeshadow. So that's pretty much how I achieved my eyeshadow look. So I'm just applying the Laura translucent powder, and I'm just kind of lifting my eyeshadow. So you can see here I'm just applying it on the outer corner of my eyeshadow, and it just kind of like cleans up that area. Like normally people use concealer or sellotape, but I find it better just using a like white or brighter baking powder. And applied some lashes. Like these lashes, I bought some 25 ml lashes and I am in love. Like these are like my favorite pair of lashes right now. And just to kind of like blend in my face and just bring it back to life again, I'm just getting rid of that baking powder using the MAC Mineralize powder in the shade Dark Tan. Just to ensure that there's no like flashback from the baking powder, I like to also apply the MAC Mineralized powder with a beauty sponge. So this new Urban Decay All Nighter waterproof powder, wow, this powder is everything. Like the way it just blurs under your eye, like it literally complements my makeup. Like it really does give that finishing touch. Like wow, like this is my new favorite powder. It actually, in terms of it being waterproof, I mean, they say that if you cry that it doesn't leave a mark. I'm yet to kind of confirm that, but in terms of the way it looks amazing. So I'll get back to you on that. Using that same Kiko Brown liner that I use on the top of my eyelid, I'm just using it on my waterline, and I'm also just bringing it down a little bit as well, so that when I apply the eyeshadow it's easier to smudge. But this eyeliner is amazing. Like, so I'm just setting that eyeliner using the Fenty bronzer in Coco Naughty. I'm going to use two setting sprays. So the setting sprays I'm going to use the Morphe Mist Spray and the Urban Decay De-Slick Spray. And I'm just going to mix the two together just to kind of set my face so that my makeup melts. I'm just using the fan to kind of like dry down my face. And also I'm just going to use the Fenty bronzer in Mocha Mami. So I know it's a bronzer, but I'm actually going to use it as a blush because I feel like it's red tone and it's really nice, but I just don't feel like as a bronzer. But as a blusher it works for me. So I'm just going to place that in between my contour and my highlight. Going to add a little bit of highlight, not too much. So I just placed the Bobbi Brown Bronze Glow highlighter, and I'm just placing that using a small blending brush from Sigma. To line my lips, I'm just going to use the Colourpop BFF3 liner, and I like to use two liners, so I'm just going to use the Colourpop one, and I'm also going to use the Kiko 321 just to kind of like give it a bit more depth, and it kind of like contours my lips in a way by just using a darker one, but obviously not placing too much. So I'm just going to use the lipstick from Revolution. It's kind of like a pinky nude shade, and I'm just placing that on my lips and then blending it. And then also I'm just going to place the Morphe lip gloss in the shade Suede, and I'm going to mix that in with the e.l.f. lip plumping gloss. I think it's called Pink Cosmo is the shade, and I'm just going to place that on top. So I'm just going to go over that again with the darker lip liner that I use, which is the Kiko 321 lip liner. And I'm just going to line my lips again, and this is kind of like going to blend in the lip gloss that we placed earlier. So to get rid of the smile lines, I just went over using that same Decay powder, and I'm just using a tapered brush to kind of just blend out my smile lines. So this is pretty much the finished look. Thank you guys for watching. I love you guys so much. Make sure you turn on your post notifications to stay tuned for when I do post a new video, and make sure you like, comment and subscribe. Bye guys.